Greeting everyone, welcome back to another Firebase tutorial. Today we're going to talk about how to retrieve data from your Firebase Realtime Database. So in the previous video, we talked about how to set up your Firebase project, and we also learned how to integrate the Firebase project with our own project, and we also learned how to write data in our Firebase Realtime Database. So if you haven't watched that video, feel free to check it out. The link will be in the description below. So today we're going to talk about how to retrieve those data from the real-time database. So let's get started. So in the previous video, we stored some emails here in an emails reference. So now we're going to try to retrieve those emails in our interface. So let's get started. So first we need a reference to read the data from, which is emails here. As you can see here, we're going to create that reference. Firebase ref equal Firebase.database.ref, and the reference is emails. So we created the reference. Now call that reference Firebase reference.once. So here there is two methods to read the data from your real-time database. There is a once method and the on method. So the once method is gonna read the data once, and the on method is gonna execute the callback function whenever like any changes happens in our data. So if we update a data or remove the data, it's gonna trigger that callback function again. So we're gonna start with the once method. So we're gonna use the volume event, and we need a callback function. The callback function is going to take a snapshot as an argument. Now, here there's two ways to loop through all the data that we have. So you can use the for each method, or you can use the for loop. So we're going to start with the for loop. So var data equal snapshot.var. So we take the value of the snapshot, which is everything under the email reference, and now we're gonna loop through all the, it's like a JSON tree. So for let e in data, we're going to console.log data of the index. So I'm going to open that with Chrome so you can see. If we go back to the dev tools, and as you can see here, we retrieve the data from our database successfully. So we console.log every email in that reference. As you can see here, we retrieved the data successfully. So here we use the for loop. So you can use a for each method, which is like this. Just take the snapshot and use for each and function. And here we're going to take the element and console log element .var. If we refresh this page, as you can see, the same results. It's up to you. Use the for loop or a for each method. There's no difference. So now we know that the once method is not gonna execute the callback function again when any changes happen in our database. So I'm gonna split the screen so you can see if anything happened. So here's the data. If I change that to anything, nothing's gonna happen here. As you can see, nothing happened. But if we use the on function, I'm going to refresh here, open the div tool. As you can see, hairshot. If I change anything here, as you can see here, the callback function get executed again when I changed this email here. So that is the difference between the once method and the on method. I almost forgot there is another thing. There is a vol method and the key method. So if I use the key method, it's gonna retrieve the key of the data. So if I refresh that, as you can see, I retrieved the key of each email here. As you can see, here's the key. So if you need the key, use the key method to retrieve the key, and if you want the value of the data, just use the vol method. Now instead of console.logging each data that we have, instead of that, we're gonna add that data to our HTML document. So I'm gonna create a div, give it an ID, root, and now we're gonna add the emails from our database to that div element. So instead of console.log, I'm gonna use document.query selector, root dot inner HTML equal and that div contains the email. So which is element.log. Save this. I'm gonna go back here. There is an error here. Ah, yes, I forgot here, plus. Okay. So as you can see, we retrieved the data to our HTML document, which is the interface of our app. So there it is. So that's all for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.